Hey there! In this series on repairing the Audi A6, I'll show you how to remove the throttle valve. Due to the mediocre operation of the crankcase ventilation system in the pre-facelift model of this car, all crankcase gases are sucked directly into the throttle valve from under the valve covers. It constantly gets dirty, collects condensation, and in the end, the valve even froze a couple of times for me in winter. For some, this can even cause the throttle valve position angle to deviate, which should be around 3 degrees. We start by removing the valve by taking off this platform where the vacuum valves are located. To do this, disconnect all connectors. As you can see, they are all color-coded. Also, disconnect the connector from the intake air temperature sensor. Then, unscrew the platform and disconnect all the vacuum hoses. If you're unsure about the routing of the hoses, you can use a special diagram. To remove the platform, I unscrew 3 bolts with a 10mm socket. Disconnect the vacuum hoses that may hinder lifting the platform and move it aside. After that, we have access to the throttle valve. In the next step, we need to remove these wires. But the connector, which remained connected to the valve, is in the way. To remove it, you need to remove the suction jet pump and disconnect the CCV system from the throttle valve intake. I start by removing the suction jet pump, unscrewing the clamps, and then pulling the hoses from the CCV system and the hose going to the brake booster vacuum. Next, pull the pump out of the intake manifold. I removed the suction jet pump, and it seems to be working as there is emulsion in it. This means it slowly pulls crankcase gases, but very weakly. After that, disconnect the crankcase gas ventilation hoses from the intake manifold. There is a special connector here. Press it to pull it out of the manifold. Next, remove the throttle valve control connector. I couldn't disconnect it, so I decided to remove the appropriate hose to make more room. To remove the fitting hose, first, remove this corrugated hose by unscrewing the clamps. The hose is removed, and now the most challenging part is to unscrew one long bolt. The bolt has an internal hexagon head of 5mm. I took a suitable socket and easily unscrewed it. Although I had to hold the bolt from turning with a 10mm wrench, we need to pull the bolt off its place, and then it can be unscrewed by hand. After removing the bolt, you can gradually remove the fitting hose to the throttle valve. Once the hose is removed, you can assess the condition of the rubber gasket. I replaced it several years ago. You see, the sealing ring is in good condition, but oil from the crankcase gas ventilation flows right here and enters the intake. By the way, since we've already removed this intake pipe, you can also clean the intake air temperature sensor, as I showed in the previous video. As we can see, the throttle valve is now more visible, and we can now disconnect the connector that I couldn't disconnect earlier. But be careful not to lose its internal parts. Next, we will unscrew the throttle valve. Before I start unscrewing the valve, let's remove the hose going from the absorber to the valve by unscrewing the clamp. The pipe is removed. We move it aside so it doesn't interfere, and then we unscrew the bolts that attach the valve to the intake manifold. They are similar to bolts with an internal hexagon head, also 5mm. I'll insert a photo showing their location. And don't forget that where the lowest bolt is, the ground wire is attached to it. I removed this bolt, and when we put it back, we need to thread this ground wire through the bolt. In the end, I unscrewed 3 bolts, and the 4th remained the one that I held earlier with a 10mm wrench. I take a 10mm wrench and gradually unscrew it. Then it can be done by hand. I would even say that this bolt resembles a dowel. Next, we can start removing the throttle valve. The only thing that hinders us here is the throttle pedal cable. So let's disconnect it now. Also, I forgot to disconnect the vacuum that controls the cruise control. We remove the vacuum pipe and unscrew the nut with a 13mm wrench. Then we slightly lift the throttle valve to reach the throttle pedal cable and disconnect it. Now nothing prevents us from removing the throttle valve and assessing its condition. As you can see, there is a little oil on the valve body, but not much, and the valve itself is practically free of carbon and other dirt. By the way, after the last valve cleaning, I drove about 30,000 miles. That's it. I'll be glad if this video was helpful to someone. Goodbye.